Welcome back programmers. In the previous video we got the data from front end to back end using get and post request, and this is our register form. In the previous video we just got the data. In the today's section we are going to use the Postgres MySQL to save the data in the database. Now if you don't know what is Postgres and if you're not familiar with the SQL concept, I highly suggest you to watch out any SQL series, and in this all-in-one code channel I am going to upload a whole Postgres series playlist which will be available in few days. Now in our project you can use any database you want, but I am going to use the Postgres. Now this is Pgadmin, which is nothing but the admin interface for Postgres. In here you will able to see all of the server and all of the database. Now first of all, if you didn't download this Pgadmin, so link is in the description of official Postgres. You can download it for your OS. It doesn't matter what your OS is. It's support in Windows, Linux, Mac, whatever. Now I downloaded it for Windows. Now in here whenever you open this you must have to add the login username and password, and please remember that login username and password. Now in here as you can see we got this server. Now in this server we got this Postgres SQL. Now in this Postgres SQL we got two databases. One is by default and one is which I just created. Now you can create your own database. Just click on the right click whenever you see the database and create the database. That's simple. Now with the use of same method I created this example 1. Now in this example 1 I just got the one table, and to today's section we are going to create the table for this database, and this or table we are going to add some of our main functionalities such as username, email, password and unique ID. So let's do this. Now first of all we need to create a foreign key which is nothing but the ID for every table. For example, let's say we got two data, for example Logan and Vivek. Now every data has its own unique ID which is nothing but the 1 and 2, and for that we are going to use the foreign key. Now before doing all of this stuff, first I highly suggest you to watch SQL and MySQL videos, or you can check out the W3 School website where you can learn a little bit about the Postgres, MySQL and whatever database you wanna learn. Now I have a lots of video created in my own YouTube channel about the MySQL and SQL. You can check it out, link is in the description. Okay, so now that we installed the Postgres, we have to connect this Postgres with our Python. And to show you guys that all of this is working using a PsyCopg2. Now this is nothing but the API which you can use to connect the Postgres with your Python. So just install PsyCopg2 and import it. Now to connect the Postgres with your Python you have to create a connection. So connection equal to PsyCopg2.connect, which is nothing but the method. In here you have to pass this server data, for example host, port, database, user and password. Now how are you going to get all of this information? Now whenever you install the Postgres you will get all of the information such as host. Now because you are just learning and because you are just using the local server in your Postgres, so just write localhost in here, it will work. Now port is by default 5432. If you didn't change it, it's working. The Postgres default port is 5432. So just enter this 5432 and localhost in the name of host and port. Okay, so the next one is database. Now database is nothing but whatever database you are creating. For example, in here I am just creating a new database, and I just created a new database named example1. So just write example1 equal to database equal to example1, and this will work. Now the next one is user. Now if you didn't wrote another user, so Postgres is by default username. So just write Postgres as your user. But if you don't know how to find your username, so just go on your Postgres, go on your database and go on your example and go on your, you can choose any database you want and go on your query tool. In here you have to write something because we want to find our username, so just write select user and you will get your Postgres or whatever username you wrote. So that's how you can find your username. Just write select user in your query tool and in here you will find your username. And with the use of that simple method you will get your username. So just write it in user equal to whatever username you have and password equal to whatever password you wrote whenever you installing this Postgres. Okay, so the next one is cursor. Now cursor is nothing but the cursor pointer whenever you want to add, delete, drop or whatever you want to do update with the data, it will help you. For example, in here as you can see I am using cur.execute, which is nothing but the execute method to create a query. Now in here you can write any query you want. So just write cur.execute and write any query. For example, select star from person. Person is the table name again. Now in here I am just simply creating a table. So I just write, as you can see, create table person and I just write a whole new code for creating a table, as you can see, just like this. Now if my table is completed, if I created a new table, then I am inserting a data into that table. So as you can see, let's use new data and let's add new data. For example, let's write 2 and in here I am going to add James and in here I am going to add Franco and in here I am going to add, this is all is the same. Okay, it's fine. Okay, then you have to write the con.commit. Now commit method will use if you want to save the data. Now it will not save the data, it will just execute. You have to save the data whenever you insert the data and for that you have to use the con.commit. Now and then I am using the select star from person to see all of the data which I just wrote. And record equal to cur.fetch all. Now in record it will store all of this data, whatever data is cursor is, and it will store it in records and I will print all of the record, means whatever data I just entered. Now let's run this code. So as you can see guys, I got two data, one Rathod Vivek and whatever and two James Franco and whatever. So it means in my table I have two data. Now this is new data which I just entered. Now if I open my Postgres, it will automatically added in here because I am connecting this Postgres with Python. So my Python Postgres is connected with this database example 1. So if I write select star from persons, so it will work fine. Let me run this code. As you can see, we got the two data. One is Rathod Vivek and second one is James Franco, which I just entered. So I think that is the simplest way to create the table and the database using Python. Okay, now that you know how it all works, we are going to create a new table in our this program. In here we are going to create a whole new table and whole new database to save the register and the login info. In here as you can see in our website, we are simply just gonna create an ID, foreign key, username character and email character and password field. In a simple way we are going to store all of this data in the database using the Postgres and the Python API. So let's do this. First of all you have to import the PSYCOPG2 and just import it in our project. So this is my project and in here I am going to import it. Now because we have to create a database for our project, so let's create a quickly database. In here I am going to name it create database. I just created the comment. Now in here we are going to create a database for our register. So in here I am going to copy all of this stuff and paste it in my day1.py file in here. So this is all. Now I just connected the Postgres. Now in here I am going to delete some of the lines. For example, I don't want all of this stuff for now, but I'm simply going to just comment it because I will need it later. So okay, in here I am, as you can see, I'm just connecting the database using this line psycogp2.connect, and in here I have to create a new database. So let's create a database, creating db for register user. That's it. Now in here I am going to create a database. So just copy and paste this line. As you can see, this is the line for creating a database. So this is simple, create table person. Now first of all we have to create a database, but first of all I am going to paste this in here, and then I'm gonna go in my Postgres. I'm gonna go in here, and now because I don't need this example, so I'm going to remove this database. So I'm going to drop this database, and yes, I'm going to drop this. Now in here I'm going to create another database for or okay, it's saying that it's running somewhere. Okay, so the session is running, so it will not delete it because we are using it in our Python. So let's just create a new database, and I'm going to name it, let's name it AIOC register. Okay, this is perfect. This database is for our registration. Now remember, every database has its own table. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this data, and I'm going to create another database because I accidentally added the wrong name. I have to add new data. Let's create a new database, and I'm going to name it AIOC e-commerce because this is my website name. Let's save this and let's create a database about e-commerce. Now in this e-commerce database I am going to create a multiple tables such as tables for our shopping site, shopping values, and tables for our registration, tables for our user, and so on. So this is my new database. If I open this database I will not get any value because I don't have anything in this database. So I'm going to close this query set because I don't need it now. I don't want to save it. Okay, in here we are going to connect, first of all connect this AIOC e-commerce. So I'm going to open this day1.py file, and I'm going to change the database equal to AIOC e-commerce. Okay, that's it. Now in here we are going to create a new table for our register user. So I'm going to name it create table AIOC register. Now in this table we need, the first of all is ID, which is nothing but the foreign key. The second one is username, then email address, then password. So let's quickly create a table. So first is ID. I don't need this person ID. I just need the, let's say, only ID. Only ID. So ID must be integer and not null. So ID must be anything. And for that we are going to use the primary key. Now for using primary key, just write primary key and add any field you want. For example, first we have to create an field which is nothing but the ID, and we are going to take it as integer and not null. And just simply write ID integer not null and primary key. So just write primary key. So I am going to remove all of this and paste it in here. ID integer not null but primary key. Okay, so the second one is username. Okay, so let's take it as the username as the varchar. So I'm going to just simply change it as username, and that's it. Now the third one is email. So I am going to take it as varchar. So I'm just going to change this as email, and the last one is password. Now for password you can just write varchar. You have to write the password in the hash format, but because we are simply creating a simple web based project, so I am going to use the varchar, but you must use the hash format for password. Now in here I am simply going to just change it as the password, and in here varchar is perfect for me right now. And then I am going to remove this city because we don't need no city, and save this, and let's run it. So if I run this day one, it will work perfectly fine. As you can see, it's perfectly worked, but I got the error. Now we don't need this execution file, so I am going to remove this, and let's see in our database that if it worked or not. So I am going to just open this AIOC commerce. First of all I have to refresh, and let's create a quickly query. So just right click and write the query tool. Now in here I am going to just use the select star from AIOC register. Select star from, now our table name is, as you can see, AIOC register. So I'm going to just copy this and paste it in here. And I'm going to run this. Now as you can see, we got this ID, username, email and password which we just created using the Python. In a simple way, our table is successfully created. Now we don't need this line, so I'm going to remove this line, but I need to see what data I created. So I'm not going to remove this. I'm going to create a hashtag comment from this. So I'm going to just paste it in here. Now next thing we want to do is put the data in our database. So we are going to add the data using this front end. For example, if anyone write the data in here, so it will store in the database. So we are going to do this all of this stuff in the next video. In the today's section, we just connected this database or Python using PsyCopg2 with the Postgres database, and I hope you all understand how this all things work. First we connected the database, then we created the cursor, then we simply created the query. Now if you don't know how to work with the SQL or what is query, so please check out W3 School or any other SQL video, link is in the description. So in the next video we are going to actually save the data from the front end from here to our database. So that is it for today's guys. If you don't wanna miss the next part, please subscribe my YouTube channel, like this video, share this video with other programmer, hit on the bell icon. See you guys in the next video. Till then, just